are you? Welcome back to my channel. So excited you're here because we're talking about my May reading wrap up. Also, I am wearing my Elvira shirt. It has, of course, it has Elvira on it. It says Elvira's Movie Macabre. I freaking love this shirt. But yeah, let's get to all the books. They're not exactly in order. They're only in order by rating, and that's it. Because I couldn't pick a favorite this month. Since I've been mood reading and reading things that I knew that I would like, or I was pretty sure that I would like, I had a pretty good month as far as rating goes, and I had a lot of 5 stars and 4 stars. But that just goes in line with me knowing what I'm gonna like, and I've been reading long enough to know, you know, kind of what I'm gonna enjoy and what I'm not gonna enjoy, and not being afraid of the NF thing. So yeah, a lot of these are rated pretty high. Didn't read as many as I normally read because, like I said, I've been in the zone as far as my writing goes, but the books I did read were really good. Let's get into it. First one is my 3-star, and that is Psychic Teenage Bloodbath by Carl John Lee. There were a lot of things I really loved about this. Of course, you know, it's a Carrie retelling. What I love about this is that they took a Carrie retelling, made it extreme, and made it queer. Love both of those things so much. And it started off really good, and I really loved it, loved the direction it was going. And you know, these girls, they go to prom kind of secretly together, and there's a bullying incident, and it leaves one of the girls in a coma for a year. And so it's a year later, and she's kind of been stuck in her head the whole time. Susan is the girl who has been stuck in her head the whole time. Well, she's kind of learned that she has these special skills from being stuck in her own head for a year. And she decides to use these skills for revenge, which is very similar to the original Carrie. I love the queer rep, and I love that commentary. And there are other things I like about this as well. I did think it was interesting that usually whenever I read a good for her horror or a revenge story, I usually find myself cheering that person on, whoever it is going out for revenge. I usually end up cheering that person on the whole time. I did not cheer her on the whole time. Things really went off the rails in the second part, and it was so crazy, so gory. It's really hard for me to say what I didn't like about this without spoilers, so I'm gonna have to be careful. I don't want to give anything away. Yeah. But there were parts of this that made me roll my eyes so hard that I thought my eyes were gonna get stuck in the top of my head. There's so many instances where I just thought this was very clearly written by a man. You know? Yeah, I'm just like, that's just not how, I don't think a female would have thought that way, or I don't think that's how that would have gone down, or just, yeah, very clearly written by a man in a lot of instances. But yeah, it definitely was very extreme. It was very much on the extreme side. It was very wild, off the freaking rails of the second half. But yeah, the first half of it, I thought, yeah, I was really enjoying it. I loved the direction it was going. Will I read part 2? Yes, definitely. I am reading part 2. I already said that I was reading part 2 in this month because I want to see where it's going. There were a lot of it that I did enjoy. But yeah, there were a lot of parts of it I was like, this was clearly written by a man. But yeah, good and bad. I really love Charlie. She's the other person in the relationship who had gone to the dance originally. I really loved her character a lot. And you know, there were some other characters in here that I really liked as well. But yeah, off the freaking rails. It was so crazy. But yeah, it's extreme. It's supposed to be bonkers and off the rails, but and it definitely was. But I'm really curious to see how it goes in part 2 and where it could possibly go in part 2. Next up, we have my 4 stars. Right, I had 4 stars. First one is Finlay, Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead by Elle Cosimano. This one was a gift by my friend Leslie, aka the Grim Hobbyist. She does have a YouTube channel. I don't know that she's still making videos, but I'll link her channel down below, as well as her Instagram, in case she's not making videos anymore. I had read part 1 a few months ago in a vlog. Freaking loved it. I had the best time with it. And so I had reached the end of it, and where it was left was kind of like, it kind of opened it up for part 2. And I needed part 2 like immediately, and I didn't have it yet. So anyways, this was so fun. It was just as fun as the original. It wasn't as hilarious as the original, but it was still just as fun. I had a great time with the characters. It was the same characters from the original that came back, which I was really happy about. We have Vero, the babysitter. She's the babysitter slash accountant for Finlay. And she is so fun. Vero has to be my favorite character. It has to be. I mean, you have the main character, and I love Finlay too, but as far as side characters go, Vero is amazing. She's hilarious. More shenanigans. They get into more things, and yeah, this is just, it's a great change of pace from what I normally read. You know, you've got all this extreme horror and really dark things you'll see that I've read, that I read in May. So this was a nice change of pace. It's just something light and funny and fun and somewhat predictable sometimes, but I think that's what makes it so fun. Not all the way predictable. There were still twists and there were surprises and things that I did not see coming. The only thing that has gotten a little bit predictable is like the ending. You know, you kind of know where they're going to leave it off and how they're going to open it up for the next one. Not like the ending is predictable, because I didn't know where it was going exactly, but as far as like how they open it up for the next one, that was predictable. But I mean, that's fine. It was just shenanigans all over the place, and I just have a really great time with this series, and I can't wait to read the next book, book 3. Are there only 3 books in this series? I'm not sure. I don't know if there are just 3 or if there are more, but anyways, I can't wait to read the next one, because much like the first one, this one leaves it wide open for book 3, and so I'm curious to see where we go next. Next, we have Big Swiss by Jen Beagin. I've wanted to read this one for so long. I'm so glad I finally got to it. As you can see, I put little tabs in here for things that I wanted to remember, different quotes I wanted to remember. This was freaking fascinating. Almost like, to me, much like the main character, because, you know, as you know, I explained this before, because I'm not going into the explanations of what these are about, because I've already explained it once before. I'm not going to go into it again. But as you know, this was about this lady, what's her name? Greta. Greta is a transcriptionist, and she transcribes therapy sessions for a sex therapist. And she becomes infatuated with one of his clients, who she starts calling Big Swiss, because she only knows her by her initials. And she meets this lady at a dog park one day, and she immediately recognizes her voice as Big Swiss. So she forms a friendship with her, relationship with her, and there are all these conflicts, I guess you could say. This invasion of privacy has happened. But anyways, this kind of felt like looking in on something private. This kind of felt like you weren't supposed to be there, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain, but it feels like looking in on something private. Yeah, just, that's the best way I can explain it. It's a really odd experience, really intriguing. Greta is a really interesting character. She has her own trauma, and she deals with it in a very much different way than Big Swiss does. This has a lot of commentary on trauma and how different people handle it, and I thought that was really interesting and oddly relatable in a lot of ways. Greta has a roommate, and they're kind of opposites. Her roommate is Sabine. She's really quippy and she's kind of carefree, and then you have Greta. Greta is this super awkward and weird person. Like, she puts herself into some of the most awkward conversations, and she's definitely not smooth at all. And it makes for some really interesting conversations in this book between a lot of different people, but especially between her and Big Swiss when she meets her, because Big Swiss is very magnetic, and Greta was already drawn to her, but when she meets her, she's even more drawn to her. And yeah, there's so many interesting and very awkward conversations, because Greta is awkward anyways, and then she's got this person who she knows all these things about, and you know, she's awkward. This is full of characters who are not all completely likable. they're all flawed in their own ways. Like I said, it deals with a lot of trauma and different forms of trauma and how people deal with trauma. And then something else I really liked about this is there's the therapist. There's the therapist that's involved because of her being the transcriber for the therapist. So you have this therapist who is able to weigh in throughout the book. And unlike other books where you are drawing your own conclusions and kind of piecing it together, and normally I like that. Normally I like being able to draw my own conclusions and figuring things out on my own. What I really loved about this is that you have this therapist there that's explaining how this trauma plays in to the different human behaviors. And I thought that was freaking fascinating. I loved that. I kind of really liked having that explanation in this instance. It was entertaining, it was fascinating, uncomfortable at times, and I really, really enjoyed it. The only thing that stopped this from being more than 4 stars, like this could have been a 5-star. I felt the ending was rushed. I needed more from the ending, but other than that, this would have been 5 stars. Next up is The Witch by Michael Harbron. I'm sure you remember me talking about Michael Harbron. This is part of the Interview with the Devil series. He told me to read this one in between books 2 and 3. So just so you know, if you get into this series, that's where you want to put this one. I'm not going to tell you what exactly this is about because this is part of the series, but just know that this is about one of my favorite characters within the book. And I was really excited to see her get her own book because I really feel like she had main character energy. and she needed her own story, and she got it, and I was stoked about that. You know, there was just something about her from the very first book in the series. I knew from book 1, like, I loved her. She's just very mysterious, and she has this calm demeanor about her no matter what's going on. I mean, it does not matter. There could be total freaking chaos, and she's just very calm. This one follows her through multiple timelines, dating all the way back to the Salem witch trials. There are themes of loneliness, power, envy, religion, mortality, vengeance, and my personal favorite, feminine rage. Of course, she ends up crossing paths with 7 women from the same neighborhood, and these ladies give off major Desperate Housewives vibes. Like, if you read it, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. That is the first thought on my mind as soon as they were introduced. And I mean, they're a mess, and they all have their own issues. They all have their own flaws. She ends up gifting them magical abilities. That's all I'll say about that. You know, things just aren't what they seem. Yeah, this did have a couple of violent and even gory moments, but overall the tone was kind of cozy. It had cozy horror vibes. It didn't have that super scary or that like goosebumps inducing tone that the other books in the series have had, but I really enjoyed it. I really loved that tone. I like the switch. I think that's what this book needed, and I think that's what this particular character needed. I think it was great for her story, and I think this would be a really good one to read in the fall because the setting of this was fall. You know, if you're a mood reader, just so you know. But yeah, this was really good. I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving this one 4 stars, like I said, and just really freaking loved it. I don't remember if I mentioned this one. This one was sent to me by the author. He has sent me all the books in the series so far. So if I ever mention one of the books in the series, it was sent to me by the author. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. As far as the other books in the series, I've given them each 5 stars. I'm going to be reading the next book in the series very soon. The next Interview with the Devil. And it's called Interview with the Devil. I don't remember what it's called, but it's one of the Interview with the Devil ones. Anyhow, really loved it. Next up is a buddy read, and that is Bat Eater by Kylie Lee Baker. Read this one with my friends, Shelby and Aaron, on Instagram. I will link both of their Instagrams down below. This one I ended up giving a high 4 stars. It was in between a 4 and a 5. I ended up giving it a 4, and I had my reasons for that. The biggest reason, like one of the characters, her backstory, like it was just kind of thrown in toward the end, and it felt like very much an afterthought for her. Didn't make any sense for her character at all. It really didn't. That was like a big issue for me, and that was like probably the biggest issue. Otherwise, this was really good. And I felt like she deserved better. Honestly, She deserved more than just an afterthought of a backstory, and like I said, it didn't fit with her character whatsoever. One of the complaints people have had with this is that the main character or that the characters aren't interesting, or that especially the main character isn't interesting, or that she doesn't have a backbone, that she's passive, things like that. Personally, I understood the main character. I did. I got her. I think she's purposefully the way she is. I think she's purposefully passive. She's lost her sister. She lost her sister really horrifically. Her sister was pushed in front of a train right in front of her, and it was racism because of COVID. They called her a bat eater. It was a white man. He called her a bat eater, and he pushed her in front of a train, and it was because of COVID, because they're Asian. And she relied on her sister for a lot of things. She sort of followed her sister and all this, and all if you hear me popping, that's my knees every time I move. But anyways, she all of a sudden lost her sister, and I feel like she relied on her sister for a lot of things, and she's feeling pretty lost. I think a lot of her inability to make decisions and her ability to, stand on her own 2 feet, her sort of passiveness, is because she doesn't have that. She doesn't have that guidance anymore. And she relied on her sister for so many things. I think that's why she is the way she is. But I just wanted to say that, because I know that's a lot of people's complaints on this is because of the main character. But I didn't have any issues with that. I understood that, and I think that was just part of her character and why she was the way she was. I normally shy away from books about COVID. It's too soon for me to read them, honestly. I'm not ready for them, but I jumped on this one. It sounded like, and it is a very much different view of COVID. It's a very different experience of it, and this one is more about the experience from a much different perspective. And I didn't tell you what this was about, I don't think, because I didn't know I was going to be reading this. I don't think. Did I? I don't remember. But Cora, she's a crime scene cleaner, but she's also lost her sister, like I said, in that really horrific way. But as a crime scene cleaner, she's realized that there's a pattern. She's noticed that a lot of these crimes are against Asian women, and she doesn't think that's coincidence, especially with COVID and especially what happened to her sister. Her aunt's also wanting her to prepare for the Hungry Ghost Festival, which is a whole thing I didn't even know about. That sent me down a whole rabbit hole of me learning about that. It's really fascinating, actually. It mentions here that there's also a slack-jawed shadow lurking around her door frame. And at the bottom it says, soon she will learn you can't just ignore hungry ghosts. So yeah, this is just multifaceted. It's layered. There are ghosts, and there's all this paranormal, and then there's the crime scene cleanup, and there's she's haunted by what happened to her sister, and there are all these different things. There's lots of commentary on racism and COVID and all those things as well. How COVID really brought out the worst in some people. I did have a favorite character, and that was her friend Ife. I freaking loved Ife. Honestly, the side characters in this, while I understood Cora and understood her character and why she was so passive, the side characters in this were, they really took center stage a lot of the time. They were really interesting. They were really fun. They were, I think, a bit of comedic relief, because this was a very dark book with very heavy topics, and they provided a lot of comedic relief. But Ife, she was a lot of fun. I loved her. She was snarky, and she had all these funny lines, and I loved her. There was a lot of commentary on religion, politics, racism, death, and grief. And Cora, she's literally surrounded by death. I mean, in more ways than one. And you just have to read the book to find out, but she's surrounded by it. I think there was a lot of character growth with Cora too by the end. I really do. There were some scenes in here that were so crazy. There were some that were, even though they were scary, they were also comedic. There were some just really funny things that happened, but then there were also scenes that were really scary and creepy, and I mean, that would give you goosebumps, or at least it gave me goosebumps. And there were some scenes in here that were really fucked up. So just so you know. But this was really good. I enjoyed it. Like I said, the only thing that ruined it for me was that, like I said, that there was a character in here that just, they did not do her justice with the backstory and didn't do her justice with the, I feel like it was a complete afterthought. I don't feel like her character was fully developed. This was really good. I could say a lot more. I won't, because I don't want to ruin anything, but just know that I really enjoyed it. It was nice and dark and gory and thought-provoking and really good. Now we have my 5 stars. First one is Mortifier by Sara Derosa. Look how cute this cover is. Cute and creepy, okay. Maybe cute's not the word, but I think it's a cute cover. Maybe that's because I've actually read the book. It's probably weird to say this book is cute and heartfelt, but it was. Because it is extreme horror, and it does go extreme. It is really depraved and really gory, and like, what a wild combination. Because like, for it to be that fucked up but also really sweet and really heartfelt is just wild to me. But I loved it. I loved it so much. Mort and Bulbous are one of my new favorite duos. They're just so sweet together. They're complete and total chaos together. I mean, they really are, but they're also really sweet. They're just 2 misfits who are sticking together and causing absolute chaos. I really couldn't help but love both of them. The author, Sara Derosa, she did a great job of giving each of the characters their own unique voices and their own unique personalities. Also, I really loved reading the inspiration for the story at the end. And honestly, I really couldn't get enough of their adventures. I wanted a full-length novel. It's a novella, and I wanted it to go on. I wanted it to keep going. I couldn't get enough of it. Mort, he's the clown. He definitely let his intrusive thoughts win, and I'm here for it. It was so good. But yeah, if you're into extreme horror, I highly recommend, especially if you like creepy clowns. And also kind of goofy misfit clowns with pet skunks. Then I read Blood on the Tracks, Volume 3. Okay, this took it up. This took it up a few notches. This is the most fucked up of the series so far. I mean, it left my jaw on the floor. Something about the art in this is more haunting. There could be no dialogue in the picture, no words whatsoever, but it doesn't need it. It is just so haunting. I don't know. It's just, this one, holy shit. This one is just so messed up. I don't know. As you know, this is about like a twisted, toxic mother-son relationship. And this just took it up. I've given the first 2 4 stars. This one, I couldn't help. I had to give it 5 stars. This one just, it left me shocked. Then Neon Nightmares by Isaac Nightingale. This one, that's not his real name. So on the back, in the back, it says, writer, Isaac Nightingale, but really Liam Blaney. There's a hint at the back for a part 3. So this is the second one. If you get into this series, definitely read the first one, B-Movie Bloodbath first, because you can't just go into this without having read that one, or you're going to be confused. This would have spoilers for the first one, so don't just go into this one all willy-nilly. Anyways, there's a hint at part 3. I need it immediately. Like, I'm ready for it. And also, he posted on his Instagram that he's trying, like, he's submitting the what do you call it? Submitting something or other to have a movie. So there may, fingers crossed, there may be a B-Movie Bloodbath movie, and I really hope so, because it would be so freaking cool. Because I told you, this plays out like in my head like a B-movie, like a B-horror movie, and it would be so good. I'm telling you, if it was a movie, it would be a cult classic. It would be amazing. But yeah, so this is part 2. Sorry to go on about that. Neon Nightmares is part 2 in the series. It's a 5-star, just like part 1. We have some of the original cast of characters, and then we have new characters added on. They join their monster squad, so they're hunting some villains, some monsters. I love all the diversity within the group. I love that we have more girl power this time. There was a little bit before, but not like this. This took it up a few notches. So excited about that. There's a new character, Jen. Freaking love Jen. I won't tell you who else comes back because I don't want to ruin it. If you read the first one, I don't want to tell you who comes back because that'll ruin it. But Jen is a brand new character and I love her. She's amazing. I have grown so attached to these characters. I've grown, I mean, not only the characters from the first one that came back, but the new characters as well. I'm so attached. I feel like I have gone on these adventures right alongside them because when I'm in this book, I am in it. Like, I'm transfixed. I am just right there. I can't be pulled away from it. I just, it's so rare because I have ADHD, and it's so rare for me to get pulled into a book like that to where I'm fully immersed into that world, but I get there with this one. So it feels like I've been right alongside them with these adventures, and I'm so into it. But I'm so attached to these characters. And this one had me on the edge of my seat so bad because I didn't know who was going to make it, who wasn't going to make it. I didn't know. I had no idea. Because, yeah, this was huge bad guys that they were going against, like huge villains. And you knew, like, pretty early on, like, I don't know if everybody's going to make it. I don't know who's going to make it, who's not, whatever. So, yeah, this one had me on the edge of my seat. And honestly, I told you the first one was bonkers. It was so crazy. I didn't think it could get any crazier, but it did. This one is even wilder. And it is so unpredictable. You don't know where it's going. There's no way you can know where it's going. The author did an excellent job at carrying on with the plot from the first one and like tying everything together. Because I would have thoughts of, well, what happened with this? And then he would remember. It's like he would read my mind and be like, you know, he would like go on with it eventually. Because this is a thicker book. I mean, it's over 400 pages. There were so many different things happening and so many different things that happened in the first one, but he did so well at tying everything together and tying up any loose ends and making sure nothing was left out. I mean, excellent job. It's so action-packed. I mean, I don't know how, like, these characters, I know that they're just characters in a book, but I just thought, man, these guys need a break. Like, they're really busy. All the 80s vibes were there, because this one was more set in the 80s, and where the first one was kind of more like 70s. This one was 80s, and it was full of neon and video games and VHS tapes, and you know, it had all the movies references. It had a soundtrack to go along with it. It was amazing. I cannot get enough of this quirky little friend group. I can't get enough of their dynamic. It's perfection. I think this may be my new favorite series. I don't know, because I love Interview with the Devil too, but like between this one and that one, maybe it depends on my mood, which vibe I need, like more serious or more like action-packed wild craziness, but this is so good. And then I read Mouth by Joshua Hall. This one was a gift sent to me by my friend Erin on Instagram. She's the one to buddy read with, so her Instagram will be linked down below. This is weird. She sent me this. She said she thought I would like it because she really enjoyed it, and she was right. I really did. Of course, this is in my 5-star books. This is so weird, but so good. I'm really shocked at how much I enjoyed this one, and I never thought I would have such strong feelings about A Mouth in the Ground. I really didn't, but I do. Rusty is our main character, and you know, he's always been kind of a drifter. He's been on the road. He hasn't had a place of his own, and all of a sudden he has this place because a stranger has gifted him a house on some land, and all of a sudden he has a house and he has a literal mouth to feed because it is a mouth in the ground, and that mouth's name is Mouth. And you know, Rusty is just kind of a loner. He wants to be kind of left alone. He's in his 50s, I think early 50s. And then Abigail comes along. And Abigail is this pretty talkative, sarcastic, kind of chaotic 19-year-old. She's a filmmaker. I won't tell you how she and Rusty come to be, but they become unlikely friends. And, you know, they're gonna try to figure out the origin of Mouth. They're gonna try to figure out the history, and also the history of Mouth's previous mysterious owner. So, yeah, Abigail and Rusty are so opposite. they have this interesting dynamic. They have this fun, they're so different. And then they also have their, they have their own history. They have their own demons that they've sort of escaped from. This one what I loved about this is that it is full of classic horror references. My favorite were the Frankenstein references, lots of movies that I hadn't even heard of. I'll definitely be adding to my watch list, which I'm behind on movies anyways, but there were some I hadn't even heard of. I loved that this had the found family trope. That's one of my favorites. There were also themes of friendship. Another one of my favorites is fresh starts. That was in here. And lots of monsters in various forms. And this is another one that, yes, it had lots of violence and lots of gore. Somehow it managed to be heartwarming. I don't know how that's possible. It's very original, it's sweet, it's funny, inspiring, and super weird. The author Joshua Hull created a layered plot that's very interesting with some very lovable characters. I have so much more I want to say, but I don't want to give anything away. It's a novella, it's pretty short. It's like 111 pages. It's very short. I won't say anything else. Just know that I was transfixed from page 1. Really good. Let me know down in the comments, what was your favorite book that you read in May? I would love to know. Next week, I will have my summer reading plans. I will see you next Friday. Bye for now.